Okay, today I wanted to tell you a story which really talks to the power of Geospatial 2.0. So imagine a wildfire scenario. Imagine you're told there is a high risk of wildfires in the Red Mountain region close to Boise, and there are 4 particular sectors that are most vulnerable. You also are told that it's in this particular sector and fire crews are 6 hours away. Third thing, you're also told that those crews, 2 crews and 1 helicopter would be available for use within the next period of time, let's say the next 18-20 hours. And then the last piece of information you were given was those helicopters can only drop water on those fires in the daytime. And also, if you're going to put bulldozers out there to protect highways and put up barriers, earth barriers, those things are pushing that dirt up. They're moving it basically 2 miles per hour a day. So that's a whole load of information there. Let me tell you what that information was that I gave you from the very top. I gave you insight that there's a risk of fire in the this Red Mountain zone. I gave you context, where the fire region is, where the crews are. First one's patterns. The next one is sort of the relative locations, the contextual elements that make up the story. The third one is really sort of the constraints, this idea that we only have a certain number of resources available to us. And then the last one is the sort of the rules, the knowledge, the limitations, if you like, that the helicopters can only drop water during the daytime. So there's a whole bunch of information there. You'll notice that I use the word insight there as the top of what we spoke about, that there is a risk and it's in these particular 4 regions. So what we do as humans is we take that information and we apply intelligence to that. We think through those pieces and then we take action. So if we are using no digital technology and we are told this information, our brains process that and we start thinking about what we should do in terms of immediate actions over the next period of time. So where am I going with this? Insight and intelligence are different things. A lot of times people get confused about the two and align them and think they're the same. As I've just described, they are not the same. So what might our intelligence tell us if we apply intelligence to what I just spoke about there? Well, we might come up with something and say, it's Tuesday, it's 10 a.m, I'm in Boise, I'm projecting 18 hours ahead and thinking that we need to deploy our crews and the helicopters we got available in the next 18 hours. So tomorrow morning at early morning, I think like 4 a.m. or something from today, that's 18 hours ahead. We need to get those guys out there. So that's our first piece. The bulldozers we've got a little bit more time with. So we're gonna push that back to later in the day, maybe 6 a.m, maybe 7, 8 a.m. So to get the dozers out and ready along a particular section of Highway 101, which actually would be the highway that would be most affected, that runs through that region. So we would position them at a particular time, ready to go. So we've pulled all that information together, we've made some decisions about what we should do, and then we've shared that action or those actions with the crews, with the helicopter teams, with everybody involved who need to know what they need to do next. So we've taken those inputs, insight being one of those inputs, applied reasoning and intelligence to that, and then taken actions. So why am I telling you all of these things? In part to obviously explain the difference between insight and intelligence, but I read a lot about this idea of actionable insight. Insight itself does not lead to action. what those statements, and again, in the geospatial industry, it's used all the time, we'll provide you actionable insight. Okay, great. But the actionable piece requires decision making and intelligence. And what the 1.5, and I'm just explaining the difference between geospatial 1.5 and 2.0 and why 2.0 is so powerful. In the geospatial 1.5 world, insight is what's delivered to folks. There's a risk of fires in that particular region, and these are most risky areas. That's where it ends. So an analyst generates the insight, and somebody's got to make a decision with that information. Maybe you've got a map and other information to get those crews and to take the action that's needed. So there's a complete manual process there. So actionable insight is kind of misleading in many ways. What we're really talking about is intelligence and actions. So you need intelligence to take the action. Again, I'm repeating myself, but this is a really crucial point. Geospatial 2.0 adds the intelligence piece to that story. So we are no longer making manual decisions. We have got a brain in the room, a reasoning engine, which can take all of that input, and I've mentioned knowledge graphs. They're an important input into a reasoning engine. That reasoning engine's got information about what's happening right now, wind directions, soil moisture, etc., etc., etc. So the reasoning engine, the brain in the room with you, has up-to-date information that you don't have. So it can work with you to think through what you should do next and to take those actions. So if you're going to say it's actionable intelligence, maybe that's a better term for it. But the world of 1.5 only provides the insightful piece. The actions and intelligence is you and me. Where 2.0 is a giant leap is we actually are using AI to provide the intelligence and that action. With a human in the loop, we're still involved in that, but it's automating. Actually, I use the word automation, and I'm going to correct myself. It's really augmenting us as human beings. Automation is taking humans being out of the loop, but really what we're doing is we're augmenting ourselves. We are provided and I keep using that term brain in the room, but another brain in the room that can help us with the decision-making process. And a lot of times we're talking about things that need to be done right now, not in an hour, not in 2 hours, not in 18 hours. We've got to make a decision right now, and we've got to prepare those crews to be ready to be out there. That is the real promise in Geospatial 2.0. That's why I talk all the time and share so much on Geospatial 2.0, because we now have the data and technology to do this work. And that's the giant leap for 2.0. And that's the value, the true value that Geospatial 2.0 brings. So thanks for watching. Agree, disagree, share your thoughts, and I'll do another one of these very soon.